You're listening to Wolf Spirit Radio.
Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us today, and happy holidays. Right now I'm doing a pre-record for Monday's show because it does fall on Christmas Day, and I will be celebrating the holiday with my family, and probably don't want to explain why I'm sitting in the other room for 2 hours by myself on the radio. Either way, I wanted to make sure that I got the latest information to you. It seems like there's, as usual, content and information that's flowing through that's pertinent to whatever is going on now, and we do want to continue to be informed and better understand some of the things that are going on around us. And this is a very, very interesting time of year. For some people, it's a really celebratory time. It's very happy. Many people have their different expressions and views and way to celebrate. But for others, this is a dark time, and I wanted to acknowledge those people today too, and maybe discuss that aspect of it in the latter half. I don't have a guest today, but we will be doing the transmissions. We'll have some music and then a discussion regarding how to deal with some of the things that are challenging and issues regarding depression and so forth. So and they're really directing me to work with this, and I've had quite a few that have come to me with these challenges. So this is the time of year where people have the hardest time, whether it's because of the lack of vitamin D and it's darker but other things are going on, and for our many loving friends and kind people out there who have these challenges seasonally or perpetually, we want to reach out and maybe give them some tools on how to deal with it. But for the rest of you, we're gonna move forward and have that discussion afterwards. So stay tuned in on when we get into the second half. But for right now, I want to say hello, JP. Thank you for doing the pre-record with me today.
That's okay. I hope I don't fall asleep. I just we had a big meal of roasted vegetables that we dug ourselves from the garden.
No.
Yeah, it's fabulous. Oh, there we go.
Speaking of roasted vegetables and root vegetables and all that stuff, something weird came through, didn't it?
Who's roasting their roots? Yes.
Yeah.
Actually,
the wagon. The man with the wagon.
It's funny. Now, when you describe this thing,
okay, let's go back and explain what it is, right?
Let's just go back and explain what it is. Go on.
Okay. So I had a full-out vision. You had made mention. Have you seen me in any other timelines?
I was saying something like, we've had messages from Andronicus, messages like that, but you've never had a message from Primus or Teos Prime, who's kind of appeared in, some of the distant past episodes, who apparently is like, that's another part of me. And they all these people, they call me Primus, and it's a thing. So I was saying to Jess, we've never had a, Primus transmission. And, as if on cue, a day later, Jess comes back to me and says, this.
I was in a deep, I was doing a regression. And in the regression, I was guided to, this bench, park bench. And I sat down on the bench and I waited for someone to come up, and who else would it be? It was you, but in another time, and you look like a wizard, and you were pulling one of those wooden wagons like you see in the Led Zeppelin cover, or, it was like an old wooden wagon filled with root vegetables.
It sounds to me like you're describing what I'd call a market stall.
And it had the wheels,
it's
right?
It's a little flatbed, maybe about 8 feet long. Mm-hmm. It'll have 2 wheels and be, you'd have a human yoke. You'd just be able to move it about easily by lifting one end slightly. and then you can scoot it about like a kind of big wheelbarrow.
Right. That's exactly what it looked like.
Okay,
And
so that's what they call a market barrow, and you'd sell your wares on that. So there he was. It's funny. I've also been talking about selling not selling vegetables, but making little shops here.
And it might have been that you were just taking it back to where you were. The fact that it was a very mystical, magical place. I mean, there was mist there. There was some kind of field of energy. I knew I was not in a typical dimensional space. And maybe we should read it. Read what happens. Do you have it available? Or do you want me to?
Yep.
Okay.
It's okay. So we'll start off with what should we call this one? What was his name?
I called it the wizard. I called it the wizard. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Well, let's go. So this is called the Land of Wizards.
Okay. Were you going to read it, or am I?
Well, it's you. It's your description, but I can read it.
Oh, okay. Why don't you read it?
Yeah. Jessica was in a building and walked through a type of porch with many windows, down a slate walkway to a wooden simple bench that was weathered and thick. The background had a lot of mist, and there was green grass, but it was cold. I watched as an old man was pulling a wooden wagon with 2 hands, both propping it up and pulling as he moved. He was wearing a long grey robe with other garments over it, but quite modest, nothing very bright in tone, and worn-looking. He had a long grey beard and long hair. Inside the wagon was all sorts of root vegetables, potatoes, carrots, turnips, parsnips, onion or 2, and some freshly picked white and yellow daisies in a small bouquet. He stood in front of me and put the wooden handles down to the ground to hold in stable, so the wheels wouldn't move, and then went over and got the flowers and handed them to me. Over to you, Jess.
I still haven't brought it up yet.
You haven't got it yet. do you want me to paste it to you?
No. Hold on.
It's coming, people.
No,
Meanwhile,
we'll
sit around the fire.
Let's see, recent. Should be here somewhere. There it is. Okay. Sorry, I should have pulled it up originally. And said, where are we?
So, you said, thank you for the flowers.
Oh, thank you for the flowers.
Okay, so, where are we?
Thank you for the flowers, and JP smiled.
There we go.
Where are we?
We are in the sacred land of the wizards. How did you get here?
I don't know. I suppose I came to see you. What do you call this place?
Paradisio.
You were preparing to leave?
I don't need to be in this space any longer.
And then I saw an opening to another dimension open up, and the energy of the space changed to a much lighter energy. Where are you going now?
The bold new world of my ancestors. You opened the gates to Asgard, haven't you?
Yes. Are you taking your wagon?
Oh, no, I don't need it anymore. You can have it.
And then JP began to walk toward the mystical white doorway, then paused and turned around.
Here, I have something for you. This is yours.
Then he reached in his garment pocket and pulled out a golden flask and handed it to me. What is your name?
My name is Bartholomew.
Thank you. Then he entered the doorway and disappeared while taking the dimensional reality with him. The wagon remained, but it was much older and empty. I returned back into the porch and disappeared from the space, as well by returning back into my consciousness.
There he is, Bartholomew.
Bartholomew was your name. I felt like you were there with Merlin, and because I remember we talked about you feeling like you were connected to that archetype, but there were other wizards there as well. It was like the land of wizards. That was the only way I could describe it. It just was very magical. Yeah, and it was strange because, I wasn't expecting. And when I say old, it was like wise, or having that wizard look.
Wizened, like a wizened wizard.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's what wise is about, isn't it?
We have different aspects of ourselves in different places. And I know that, people say, well, I saw myself over here in a dream. Well, how do you know that it's not real? I mean, is this more real than that? It's just that you're seeing yourself there, but at some point there's like this crossroad where you get to see yourself in another place. It's pretty interesting. And unexpected. I wasn't planning on seeing you there, JP. It was nice. It was very nice, and thanks for the flowers and the
You're very welcome.
flask. I didn't find out exactly what they meant. Maybe I'll have that.
Maybe there was some mead. Check that flask. I bet you it's got mead in it. I wouldn't drink anything else. We were talking about it. Wouldn't it be nice if somebody gave us a gift of some mead this Christmas? And
hint, you know where to send it, JP. They have your address.
Yeah.
Send JP some mead.
Mead.
Or get him a case of it. Yeah.
Why is it £10 a bottle? That's what I want to know. It's
expensive. Drink of the Vikings.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that so expensive. But anyway, so there we go. There was connection with that was a realm, really, wasn't it? It was like
realm,
another
yes.
like out of time, non-quantum quantum unentangled sort of place, eh?
Yeah, for those that are very, very into the wizardry, and I believe I discovered accidentally the realm of where all the wizards go, whether they're alive and then step into this reality to access some of their power. And I believe that flask had something to do with my connection to it. It was very interesting, and I felt like there were many of them there too. But we'll find out. I mean, it's a great place. Very cool. Would have liked to explore more, but they didn't let me do that. I guess we just had to do the exchange and then move on.
Yeah, well, maybe you'll be invited again. I'm sure you've got some friends who can come.
Yeah.
Who can take you there.
And you jumped up into Asgard, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
You went up to the tree.
Asgard and Yggdrasil. Now, again, these are themes that have been going on. Since Yggdrasil was repaired and set right, I think people are coming back to it. And I imagine that that's also connected with your visit, actual physical feet on the ground, boots, cold ground, warm boots, I hope.
Yeah, it was. I was very warm. I had Canadian boots.
Hey?
Hey.
Best.
I thought, well, if anyone knows what it feels like to be warm and how to be prepared for the cold, so I bought Canadian boots, but they didn't do well in the rain. I'll just say that.
Was it raining? Raining in Iceland? You imagine it's going to just snow.
We were fortunate that it rained because, a snowstorm would have been pretty dangerous, because it's remote no matter where you're traveling. And even, I guess, the locals are very careful about when there's a storm. They tell you, just for those that are planning on going there, to really do a little bit of background check and make sure that, we want everyone to be safe. But if the locals always look at the weather, and if the locals say, don't take a trip, trust them. Not a good idea. Because as you travel out, there's no gas stations, there's nothing. And you don't know where you're going, and even though they keep the roads very clean, and I think they even have heaters or something in some of the roads because it was like no ice, there's nothing. I didn't see any sand or plows or anything like that out there. But even still, like they said, a storm can come up out of nowhere and can be quite dangerous. And many people have died traveling out to Iceland without, being prepared or taking risks that they didn't realize. So I know he talked about it, and I didn't have any problems, but I did respect what they said about the weather. So anyhow, and then getting back to Rhodan, which seems to be the nice segue here, because he's still on this thing about what happened, and he's very, very positive and excited. And now the Rhodan that I'm talking to now is not necessarily the one that was on the ship, months back. So it's almost like I'm finding him in different places, and I have been seeing him in Iceland for a while. So in the upper realms above Iceland, he's present. So if people go over there and they want to connect with him, I wouldn't be surprised if you do. But he's over there overlooking everything. It's it's an exciting time, I think.
Can you tell me a little about why they're called Bifrost giants?
I don't really know. I mean, to me they look like trees almost. I don't know what the definition of Bifrost is, but it's like they're part tree, part ice. And they're huge, really, really large, and very, very old. They kind of seem like they were created. They were created prior to the Titans. So they're the ancestors of the Titans, and they're quite wise, but really kind of strange. They're more like, we're carbon-based and they're silicon-based. But when they moved kind of, I can't describe it, but when I saw them, I was like, wow, that was very cool. Kind of rigid in a way. And, I won't say, I don't know how to describe it, but you kind of gasp, like, wow, look at that. And it's familiar too. Very, very familiar. So at some point they must have roamed around, probably Titania or somewhere. And I think that they have a very strong presence in the galactic field. I don't know if anyone remembers, in the transmissions, but, I think it was, I believe, according to my recall of the transmissions, Ares and Dionysus tried to block the Bifrost beings from observing and assisting in the galactic field. And they had the Rigelians over there kind of blocking them so they couldn't see. And all of that has been removed. So I think that they're happy. Things are starting to get much more in order than they were before. But maybe we should move on to Rhodan, did that answer your question?
I think so. It's just that, like Bifrost, where, two kinds of frost or something like that. Interesting.
Yeah, I think, well, it's almost like they're kind of not human, but like kind of part Titan, part tree. I don't know any other way to say it, but but it's also like they're glacier-like,
Yeah.
kind of all that combined.
Well. Okay.
Yeah, Source was creative. Let's just say that.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I'm trying to adjust the schedule so that it fits our show. 1500. There. No.
I also want to, remind everyone that everything, all plants, trees, everything that's here has a conscience and has a life force in it. So we never quite look at it that way, but just like the Neptune plant beings and so some other species, I think, that were plant-based.
Right. So, just give me. So, yeah, tell them a little bit. Actually, the plant-based, the women from Neptune.
Well, there were women and men, and there were the mer people, but they were, a plant-based species, and like Andronicus, looking at these plants, they were first, they were before they got to Neptune, they saw these plants, and when he saw that, one of them had a head on it, he pushed it away and, just wouldn't have anything to do with it. Because I think they were trying to serve it as a food source. And so it was, having, this sentient something about it that was a little bit too close to, similar to Andromedan or, humanoid or however we would perceive it. But, we do eat vegetables. I know a lot of people talk about, and I don't want to freak anyone out, but, we talk about, the animals having this conscience and why people are vegetarians. And I just say that even the vegetables have a conscience. And I know that, others have mentioned that, they try not to kill the plant when they eat the vegetable. And, but I mean, I think, everything here has a level of conscience, and so I think it's some of the ancient Hindu belief systems. They recognize that, and native people recognize it, that everything should be. You should eat your food with gratitude, and thank you for the sustenance and so forth, because there is a living conscience essence involved with everything that's around us, everything that's living, and it's all part of the God source. So, but that doesn't mean that people shouldn't eat and they have to be breatharians or anything like that. I mean, of course, that's a choice.
Yes. So anyway, I'm good.
Okay.
So that's all done there. That's marvelous. So shall we move on to the next transmission?
Yeah. So we're gonna go to Rhodan.
Excellent. I see what you're doing. You are gathering the troops to ascend to the netherworlds, to see how time all cascades at once. This is our time. We will not allow it to slip through time any more than the value of salt slipping through our fingers. It is time to gather the lodestones together, to ground the frequencies of the field, to assist and make way for the Bifrost giants to once again journey to the south, and the Titans to journey to the west. Lift your eyes to the northern lights and see the paths before you. We are one, and as one, my child, as they are all our kindred family. Together we will fly up above the fjords and see the inner depths of the northern seas. We will set sail upon the horizon of time and see the waters where the black stones seem to float on top. Do you see it, child? Above what you have been able to see before. This is the land above the dimension of time.
I can see it. The waters look almost black, but not from dirt or ash, but clear and reflective. I see the black stones seamlessly floating on the water. Is this a place of anti-gravity?
Ah, it is. Lovely homeland of the Viking folk who fly above the bridges of seas and lands. They are the ones floating on the Viking ships. Flying, if you will, that is the term. It is an old magnetic space of floating time. Nothing to worry about. This is your time to rise with us. Certainly we left you behind, not to suffer but to watch over our people. They, the darker species, make sure that you would be oppressed and blocked from caring for us. This has all changed. My sorrows in Iceland are now gone. You have proven to me that you had not abandoned us and were willing to go to all ends to assist as we would do for you. Now the time of thunder has arrived. My force and latitude has changed. I can see the love in your eyes still existing, and your heart to help many does rise up within you. Tell me, young one, how can one help if they are locked away from helping? This shall open your communication to many. The falsehoods of your existence was tainted with lies. I see that they had called you vain and self-serving. I've seen that they have called you indifferent and unwilling to help others. Quite the contrary, isn't it so? You have brought back our people in full force. The Vikings have now lifted their land to higher plains, but yet close enough to observe and assist their children. The lodestones must be carried by many to assist this new process. Tell the others to purchase them and carry them upon them. It will further lifting of the Vikings to their next horizon of destiny. You will all benefit by their presence. The Isle of Man will once again sing. Good work, my many children. We are always here to assist you. Lodestones, huh?
Yeah.
Next things
tell me
to
about
get.
Tell me about them. What do you know about lodestones?
All I know about a lodestone, it's a magnetic, magnetite rock, and the earliest compass, and the earliest way of magnetizing something is to use a lodestone to magnetize it.
So
That's
he wants everyone to carry it. Yeah.
So let's just have a quick look on eBay. How much is a piece of lodestone? It shouldn't be expensive. It's quite common.
No, but he wants a lot of people to be carrying them.
Mm-hmm. Let's have a look.
And I guess it works with the magnetic field, maybe for the lifting, he said.
Well, it's always good to have a bit of magnetism around you. I always think. Certainly, if you have a magnetic field on your petrol lines or your diesel, gasoline line in the car, it makes the fluid flow very well and also atomize very well. And the better atomized the vapor is of the gasoline, the better it explodes, and that's the better thing. So, let's take bloody ages, lodestone. Lodestone, there we go. Lodestone food, no. Lodestone gemstone, magical anointment, £1.90. Lodestone gemstone crystal glass bottle pendant, $1.99. Iron findings, spell supplies, witchcraft. Lodestone oil, a magnet oil to attract what you wish. We're definitely going into the magical realms here.
Yeah.
It seems to be coming mostly as dust. Let's have a look. Lodestone.
They do have some stones that you can actually wear, right? And I think I've seen that.
Pendant.
I didn't know if you had any experiences with it, or
no. What do you? So what do you know?
Any other usage of it? I don't know. I mean, it's not something that I've ever thought of. I've seen it and might have picked it up. I believe I have one somewhere, but
Let's see. So lodestone pendant.
Of having it.
Lodestone pendants, about £10 from the United States. That's about $15. Holy hoo. 19th century antique 2¼ carat spinal ancient mariner's lodestone waystone compass gem. That's like a diamond sort of thing. It's £187. So like $220. So
sounds cool.
Yeah.
But I think he's just saying he's happy with people to just carry them around, maybe in their pocket or around their neck or something like that, and I guess it helps the field. And he's had me say this to a few people already, like one or two.
Right.
Hang on. Now he's saying for everyone.
All right. So I'm just going. So Yeah, I'm just gonna Google this question. Is lodestone magnetite? A lodestone is a matrine magnetite. All right, yeah. A lodestone is a naturally magnetized piece of the mineral magnetite. They are naturally occurring magnets which can attract iron. The property of magnetism was first discovered in antiquity through lodestone. So lodestone is a generic form of magnetite, which has been right. Okay, so magnetite. That's what we're on. It's going to be dead cheap magnetite. It's just like really just the mineral. So if we say magnetite pendant, we will come up with what we've got. 23 karat gold orgone edge. Oh yeah. There we go. Healers, gold drilled stone pendant bead magnetite and pyrite jewelry, number 5. Yeah, that's a big sort of teardrop shape. $8, $9. Yeah, you get that sort of teardrop shapes. Yeah. Again, same sort of dimension. Oh, very nice. Pyrite and magnetite. With a sterling silver pendant. 12 pounds, so about, $15, $18. Not inexpensive.
Get it before they realize that we're looking for it, and then they'll raise the price. So, get it now.
Yeah, on your way to eBay, people. Yeah.
And I'm sure that there are other, positive things that it does, but I think it's going to help. It's going to help with the lifting of the Viking energy. I mean, when I was in Iceland, I saw 2 floating Viking ships, and to be honest with you, I was pretty surprised and kind of awestruck. It was in my third eye, of course, but the vision was crisp. I mean, it was clear. And I could see the flag, I could see the ship itself, and I'm like, I didn't know Viking ships could float.
Oh.
So this must be the dimension, that is kind of above us, kind of like the way Olympus was, And a setup, they weren't literally on the mountain, they were, in a higher plane above.
Oh, look at this. Merlinite. Merlinite. $9.99 for a bunch of lodestone. Right, okay, I'm going to get some of that.
So it's a lodestone merlinite?
One of them is.
Ah.
Oh, they're very pretty. Obsidian, silver, tungsten. Come on.
Yeah, you have to show me some
magnetite,
pictures.
hematite. All right. Oh, all right. Obsidian, Apache tears? No, that's not it. Oh, that's some very pretty stuff.
Do you know
sorry,
that
we should be doing this show. I'm looking on eBay, so rip me away from eBay. Yeah. But there you go.
Do you know that when I was in Iceland and we went over to that area with the black sand beach, and the place where I called the Crying Rocks, there was like this. It was like they were weeping, inside the cave, and there was a giant there, but I noticed on the side of the rock there was points where it actually looked like hematite. And it was very, very beautiful. The stone itself is like broken, kind of like it had crackled,
Yeah, you get that on places like that. Cyprus and Iceland, continually broken in multiple directions by earthquakes.
Yeah.
So, and then other stuff comes up to fill the gaps, and that's why you get that lovely cracklature. So, all right, Merlinite doesn't have magnetite in it.
Okay,
It's got
Merlin's getting your attention again.
Yeah, he's calling out. Calling out now. There we go. Get away from eBay, P. Okay.
We all know what to get you.
Yeah. Need. Magnetite tumblestones. All right. My O doesn't work right. Magnetite.
So we're going on to John next.
Meanwhile,
everyone knows John as Andronicus, as well as John Andronicus in the future, Indra is Andronicus in the past. Okay. John, tell me about the orange biosphere that I saw. It looked to be a biosphere from the 12D Pleiadians, where I found a soul aspect of myself and many others, and those that were connected to it were also very sick in different ways, very unhealthy. And as I began to look closer, I discovered a strong AI control system component that was then linked to the region of Belgium and interfacing with various AI nodes in Belgium, France, the Netherlands, Germany, Munich, Latvia, Poland, Soviet Russia, and by the Golden Circle in Iceland. And when I looked deeper, I saw that the AI was searching for a plutonium to master the power of the element and uses of the warfare. And when I looked even deeper, I found this rogue group of ancient builders again, who had very white skin, short necks, thick but not fat bodies, or stocky. And I knew it was the rogue builders group I had dealt with before. I discovered that they originally brought the element into the earth and then lost control over it temporarily, but have made a mission to reharness its abilities. To my understanding, the plutonium came from Pluto, and I have been hearing about the contrary energy of the planet. I have been hearing about their contrary energy within Pluto for quite some time now.
That's very correct. Plutonium was not supposed to be introduced onto your planet for another 200 to 250 years. Despite geologists and scientists, the element was not naturally granular and embedded into the Earth. Alien tech did this to further introduce warfare to humankind. We are as frustrated as you are in doing everything in our power to abort all missions intended to alter the path of humanity. Many things should not have happened, but did in your timeline. But you are all awakening to it now, which allows the discovery of time log entry points of intruding missions. By knowing this, we can capture and close gates to prevent further issues. The orange planet, or biosphere, is nothing more than particles, and those on that mission are now also in particles or quantum energy only. By removing a few, we saved millions. Until next time, be alert and don't ignore other issues in the future. They vaporized the orange biosphere, did they?
Yeah, well, they needed to. They really needed to. Especially the builders. Now, the humans were not affected; they were pulled out because they were taken there with against their will. But it was this rogue 12D Pleiadians that were hooking in with the builders group, the negative builders. And that's what they looked like when I saw them, and I knew exactly who they were. And apparently they were playing around with this whole idea with plutonium and wanting to perpetuate warfare on the planet. And I believe, and I started to do some research after he was telling me this, about 1940s, where they discovered the use of plutonium. He said it was supposed to have been about 200, 250 years later, where the element was introduced for a more benevolent purpose, not necessarily for warfare. But typically, anytime we find something, it's always, well, how does this apply to a weapon or something that we can use against others, rather than considering the usage of elements to alleviate some of the problems, the obvious problems or challenges. So until we get into that mindset, we're going to perpetuate problems. And of course, this is not the consensus of the masses, but the few that are fear-based and thinking that they need to constantly protect or aggress in order to maintain the status of regions throughout the planet, as nations and so forth, or even now we're looking at corporations taking on the idea of extensive weaponry and so forth. So, some of this laser technology of Tesla could have been used for something positive, and here it's being used to start fires. Isn't that ridiculous? But
Exactly.
anyhow, it's disturbing, to say the least. But we have to be hopeful, and we have to be open to what's going on. And according to John, if I see something, or if it's brought to my attention, I show him, then somehow he can affect timelines in a positive way, because we're kind of identifying the ones that are introducing it and where it came from and so forth. So that's a good thing.
Yep. There's some things that seem really like, oh my God, we're all going to die. And then we're saved again. And it just happens all the time.
Right. And that's because there's a lot going on behind the scenes. And a lot of the show is showing how things are typically done. They're catching things, they're looking. There are those that are observing and identifying, points in time. So Andronicus literally splits himself up and is in past, present, future, kind of existing in this space. And sometimes I talk to him where he's sort of in our field in the present time. But in this case, we talk to Andrew, who's in the past, and he understands what's going on, looking into the future, and John is looking back. He's not necessarily looking in the future, but trying to figure out where we went wrong, because he sees he's already in the outcome of it and is remedying some of that stuff as going along. So it's really quite interesting. I mean, someone asked me if I would be bringing this kind of information, and I have no idea what they're going to say, and I find out that day what they want to discuss. But also, sometimes I'll have a vision of something, and then I want to find out more about it, and so I share with everyone what their explanation is, and so here you have it. This is what's going on at the present time. So, Andrew then came through, and so this is what Andrew has to say.
We discovered that 2 of our elders died on the lunar surface yesterday. This coincides with your timeline in 1996 between August 7th and August 13th, where an opening of confusion occurred. The Biralak species came in from Pluto.
Andrew, I was just speaking to John regarding the introduction of plutonium on the Earth by another species that involved the ancient builders' Rogue group.
We are aware of your conversation, and with the removal of the ancient builders, they created a failsafe that none of us were aware of, and they hijacked an ancient city on the lunar surface. They had planned to injure our elders in the event that anything would happen to them. The ancient builders know how to harm us by having a depth of knowledge and being present and informed when many galactic centers were created and civilizations. I don't know how to say this to you, but we have suffered a loss, and humans have suffered a great loss as well. Let's hope the ancient ones have an alternate plan, and we'll be able to preserve them.
Can you explain further, Andrew? We would like to know how this would impact us, particularly because it actually happened 20 years ago in our timeline right now.
Anytime there is a loss of an elder, there is a gap in assistance for humanity. At your present time in history or time-space, these elders would have held the cord or transition. But now there is a gap. I see that Rhodan has another idea. I suppose we will go with that, seeing as that we have few options to carry out assistance during this change in frequency and juncture of electromagnetic waves and solar spikes. The shielding has begun.
And then I saw a comet moving very quickly and lighting up the sky in a boom of thrust and fire expelled from the comet that set off the atomic field, and particles disappeared as if they hadn't existed before. Andrew, what just happened? I had a vision. What was that comet?
It is the order of all time, separation and the purge of flux and matter. It is normal, something that is done, but humans are not aware of it.
Was this Halley's Comet?
Yes.
So it happened in 1986.
That is correct, but you see time as one point. We see the reverberations of it, and the action of the comet at that time continues to reverberate and spill out into your reality very concretely. I think we found a solution. I'll get back to you. Thanks for being the eyes and the ears of the general populace. Andrew. All right. So, one of the elders was lost. Who was that?
Two of them.
Two of them.
Two of them, yeah.
All right, there we go. Discover the
1996.
All right.
They were on the lunar surface at the time. But these Birelek, they call them, they were from Pluto.
Interesting. So I'm just zooming back to now, August 7th, August 13th, that's about the time when Princess Diana died. No, it isn't. That's a year before. She died in 97, didn't she?
See if anything eventful happened.
But, I was just remembering, I just got married. I was having a stressful time there. So it was a peak. It was a peak event of very stressful energy for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Opening of confusion occurred.
So this is another one of these places. Now, I reckon this is maybe another rip in space-time that was caused by some of these earlier 1946 places. Hang on a second. So, hang on a second. You said later it says so it happened in 1986. Do you mean 96?
No, the other thing happened in 86, and this one happened in 96.
Ah, right. I see. So that's the sixth thing, isn't it?
Yeah. Halley's Comet was in 86.
Yeah.
And the attack on the Elders coincides with it 1996.
All right. Well, I mean, that's 86. That's when I died. That's when I had my near-death experiences. So that was,
wow, that's interesting.
So that was another intense moment.
Well, he was kind of hinting that the elders or the upper realm were going to resolve the loss of those two elders, that it wasn't permanent. But the fact that they were on watch and they were prepared for this next event that was going to happen, and now there's a gap, he said. So they were prepared to assist. But because of their loss, he said that we're all going to be affected by it. At your present time in history or time space, these elders would have held the cord of transition. But now there is a gap. And he says, I think Rhodan has another idea to assist. I suppose we'll go with that. So there's kind of communication happening all at once. Yeah, it's kind of strange how the time. He's trying to explain to me that when something happens in 96, I mean, it's like we're feeling it now. Or when Halley's Comet came through, we're still being affected by that. And it's probably because of time-space and how things come in. But it looked like it does something on the molecular level, which I thought was quite interesting. When they sent that comet through, it did something more than just, a haphazard comet flying.
Yeah, it was a strange thing. Okay, Bill should be online. There's a minor crisis going on just now.
Oh.
But,
Okay.
there we go. So yeah, it should be with Bill. So I'll do a little check in a minute. So we got another transmission to go.
Yes, we have Meetis.
And I need to get my guitar.
Yeah. Is Bill okay? Is that related
Let me just
to
check.
another program or something?
Be online, Bill. All right, online. I'm just gonna have a listen on this side of things. You won't hear anything. You can keep talking, Jess. And actually, have you got any courses or anything coming up in the new year? New things you're gonna do? New enterprise?
Well, I think I would like to do some workshops, maybe online, to help people. I do have quite a few people that have come to me with different issues, and we would like to work on some areas where you can deal with maybe some of those challenges that people are having in their spiritual path, kind of whether it's opening up or dealing with spiritual attacks or energetic attacks. How to feel, more of a mastery over your soul journey. And, they haven't quite released me to do any courses. I know that different people do it, and they have groups come together and long workshops or so forth, like on Zoom but I haven't been directed to do it. And I don't just do things just to do it. I usually, I want to make sure that, I probably could, but I find that if I'm more specific about the timing and putting things together, that it's more effective. So, but considering I'm looking at a lot of different things that people are going through, and one of the issues here again is what I mentioned before, is that I'm dealing with people that are struggling with the area of depression or having that inner talk, which many people are assuming that this is just them talking to themselves. And what I'm finding is that it's either some type of AI or other program, and I am asking people to question the voice, especially if they're saying things that are negative, especially if they are introducing suicidal thoughts or any type of thought that doesn't seem to coincide with your natural thinking. And so encouraging those to question the voice. Ask the voice, who are you? Why are you saying this to me? Or maybe not why are you saying that. I demand for you to tell me who you are. And so what you might have assumed for many years, that this inner talk is yourself just being negative, then you need to re-examine that. And so this voice that's telling you to take a very negative action, to do something that may be very harmful to you or others, that it's very likely that this is AI, it's a control system, and that you can break that, you can be free and liberated from it. You can demand the voice to say who they are and then shut it down. I'm just encouraging people to be self-empowered, not to feel vulnerable, and not to feel defeated in any sense. I want that self-empowerment to come in, and these are the things that we were going to, I was thinking about discussing with those that are having these challenges. I know that some people are, they withdraw, they think that others don't like them, that, all this negative talk. And one of the things I bring up too is that there are people who, might be in their 40s, 50s, 30s, whatever age it is, and they're reflecting back on negative talk that came from their childhood, whether it was from someone, a peer, or like a bully, or someone from their childhood, some parental negative talk, or anything like that. And here they are, they're successful, they're doing well, or, maybe they hit a little bit of a low point in their life, or not, something's going on. And here now reflecting and focusing and spending their time thinking about those words of something that happened many years ago. And that's not your mind bringing that in. I'm just trying to assist and help you to understand this. This is part of the program. There's negative entities and others. Some of them are ETs. They're bringing in this thought pattern, which we've assumed that this is the natural condition of humankind. I don't believe it is. The more I'm looking into it, the more I'm discovering that these are beings that are there to provide negative talk. They're coming in from the past. They're bringing up, they know you well enough that they find the weaknesses and dark points in your life, bringing that forward to you as if it's present time, making you relive and re-experience these things, and you don't have to. You can say that happened years ago. I don't agree. I don't consent. I'm not receiving this. I'm not taking this into my experience right now. There's no truth in that. Anything that you need to do. Now, some might say, well, my parents said this, or someone that's very close to you, they should have been supportive, someone that you were married to, they should have helped you, or anything in that scenario. But, if people say things that they, out of anger and frustration, they're not really thinking through the impact and the sorrow and the pain that they're causing in doing it. So forgiving and letting it go. But if you see that it's coming back and returning at different points in your life, many years after it's been said, it's time to shut it down. Shut down, delete, uninstall this program that wants to keep you in a space where you can't rise above it and move forward in your life. So, and I've had multiple people come to me. Now, what I believe is part of the way it's happening is that people go into a place of, in the wintertime, people get a little bit in a lower place, whether it's depression or something like that. It starts off with probably a depletion of maybe vitamin D or a lot of lower vitamins, or it's shorter days and so forth. So that affects a little bit. Sometimes the lunar cycle can affect it. But so it brings you into a space. And then in that space, it's a lower vibrational space where these beings are, and they're coming in. And I don't want anyone to get freaked out. Don't want anyone to get paranoid. It's always been there. It's not a big deal. It's just recognizing a lot of people who are taking it on as if this is their own self-talk. So, and it's not. And I challenge you to question that voice when it comes in and it's repeating something that's negative, making you feel bad, and just to shut it down, delete, uninstall that program, whether it's AI or an entity of some sort. You demand to say, who are you? Challenges say, I'm not listening to you anymore. You need to go now. So, taking control, self-mastery, being who you are, and liberating yourself from any impediment that prevents you from raising in your consciousness and being in the now and enjoying the experience of being here now. And during the holiday season, this is a time when a lot of people go into this space. So here's a tool for you. Use it. Contact me if you need to. But here's my gift to you. Liberate yourself. Be free. And be one with Source and God's Source. And love yourself. Love those around you. And be free. So, JP, you back?
It's been a hard day, isn't it? Yes.
Yeah.
Fabulous. It's very amazing. There's an energy going on right now. You can, you kind of nailed it just then. There is a whole thing about people's self-value, people's doubt and guilt, and all of these things are really coming up. From a healing point of view, it's a really good thing. but it can be overwhelming for people. But if you see it as an opportunity to get over something that you've never gotten over in your life, but that you can, and you've got the wherewithal now to do so. At least, if you're listening to this and you don't think you can, well, you can call Jessica, or you can call myself, or you can call others who will take you to the next step. We're not going to heal you. We're not going to magically transform you into a higher dimensional being. That's your work. But we're taking you to the door. Do the Morpheus thing. So.
Yeah. And you know, like I said, some of these people just get into this loop of feeling bad about themselves, and they keep replaying the record of something that happened so long ago. We've associated that as human nature. Oh, this is just the way humans are, and you know, there's self-doubt and all this. No, it really isn't, because I've actually caught some of them. I've caught some of them doing it. And I also think it's an overlay of AI. So we're going to break free from this AI, because it's not natural, it's not organic, and is not our highest intention to be here. And all the control systems will have to break down, because we're not meant to be controlled. That's
this
not
is
our
the conversation.
divine, yeah.
This is the conversation. We are not meant to be controlled. We are meant to be sovereign and have our own path in life that our soul, who is us, wants to tread with us. You know, our soul is who we are. It's like when Jessica talks of Suma, there's Jessica here, but Suma's her overarching soul personality, her beingness. That's the name of that. And likewise, mine is Primus, and we've all got these different soul expressions, and here we are, just expressing these things. But we're here on the planet, existing through these physical bodies, JP and Jessica. It's hard to explain it without it sounding very weird. But that's really the natural state of beingness. We are not who we think we are. We are, so, you know, now we understand what VR and virtual, real, what's that word? Simulated worlds, Sims and things like that. It's another layer. Sim is another layer, but we're something like a sim to the layer above us, which is where Primus and Suma live. I think that's what we're talking about. Is that?
Yeah, I mean, and I think that, you know, we have different aspects in different places, and you know, we're learning, we're starting to understand that in each civilization, each timeline, in each time period, that there are different things going on. A lot of the discussion that I bring in is the our interfacing with the other dimensional space that, you know, I've kind of had a window open to since I was very young, and seeing, you know, activities going on in the background while you know, you're thinking, oh, this is part of the human experience, and then seeing the interference or influence elsewhere. So, you know, whether a person wants to call it a matrix, you know, however that they want to view it, and what we're trying to do, and I think that we're preaching to the choir for many, is many do understand this, and even those that are starting to grasp, the general population is starting to grasp the idea of ET interaction and influence and other types of entities. I mean, the movie theaters are filled with all different sci-fi movies and movies of the paranormal. So it's a time for humans to start looking outside their physical plane and start looking into the etheric realms of things, and future and past and all sorts of, you know, intersections of time. That nothing is as concrete as we think. There's, you know, on an atomic level, we can see that it's all energy. So if it's all energy, then energy exists in all different ways, and that are explained and unexplained. But we're allowing allow ourselves to open up our thinking and look beyond what we were told. The earth is not flat. Not that I'm fighting the flat earth theory right now. I'm just saying is that the Copernicus statement is, they thought it was flat, and if you took your boat and you just were gonna, topple over, like a waterfall, just fall right off of the earth. Obviously that didn't happen, did it? So, and it's because we were able to look beyond those limits. Now we're much more advanced than the general public knows about, because these space programs and so forth are actually going off into these frontiers and finding out and exploring and doing things already. They just haven't caught up with everything yet, as far as the public doesn't know about it. But we're trying to explain these things for everyone. This information is for everyone. It's not supposed to be for just an elite group. And that's why we're kind of stepping out and trying to share this information so that everyone has a chance to understand it, rather than to be in a place of darkness and unawareness. So that's what this network is about, is for a place of, whether it's education or information or interaction, or thinking beyond the parameters, or thinking outside the box, however you want to perceive it, this is the place to do it. And also, it's a safe place to do it without judgment. And not one idea is 100% correct. It depends on where you're standing and what perspective you're looking at is what you're seeing. Isn't that what you usually say, JP?
Absolutely. So, shall we move on to our final transmission of the show? Appropriately for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Meetis. Hello, my love. Isn't this grand? We changed another timeline. I'm feeling a bit jolly and light in my step. I have new music. Oh, so many songs. They're wonderful. That Brian fellow you've been speaking to, I remember him. Life of Brian for certain. He likes to sing a bit as well. Yeah, he learned it from me. I don't quite understand the instruments he's using. They're not as tactile as mine.
Oh, you mean the computer?
Oh, is that what you call it? Communication in a book. It opens and closes and shows all sorts of things beyond and forever. I shall gather myself to learn its chords and see its future. Fantasy dreaming book, I would add. Singing. It's a merry time for you now. Holiday?
Yes, Meetis, it is.
I wonder about your time and how you have those fast carriages and flying contraptions. It is glorious but dangerous in other ways. You break many natural laws, the laws of the planet that keep the planet healthy. So very sad indeed. It was not the true intention of technology. We tried to bring in alternatives in your 1800s.
Oh, you mean steampunk technology? That was you?
Me and others, of course. We wanted a non-toxic means of advancement. You will see we were quite clever, but mankind saw it as merely a whim and searched for more toxic means of power and speed. What you can do without these dangerous elements is astronomical and purely sublime. Some of your friends will hear what I say and bring my many ideas forwards. All they need to do is ask me, and I will help them make some of the inventions I have in store that are seamless. They are the true wave of your future. Heed my words. They will change everything you do and how you do it. It is not revealed yet because you can't see it until the Earth shifts a bit on its axis. Lighter, lovelier days ahead, my flower, for you and many more.
Big hugs to you, Meetis. I admire your efforts to help us.
Very well. We mustn't get all emotional now. We mustn't. Let's look at the brighter side of the moon now. Maestro. that's the one. Hang on a second. My G string was a little loose. Let's look at the brighter side of the moon. Let's dig down deep into the lagoon. Let's search the mountains and mighty caves. Let's heed the voice of the black-feathered raven. Let's fly in high but sound much less. Let's lift our buildings with little or no stress. Let's magnetize and float above. Let's do it all for earth and love. Take down the missiles and through the mistletoe. Let's every have their watch a day over. No contrary species. Let the beer-like Plutonians return to their species. We don't need their warfare or the end result teachings. Go now from us today, or we will take that dusty planet away and return it with another form that grows and spins without galactic storm. Stormtroopers said you once, I saw you lift from hither stance. The whiter nights are not here to help our planet thrive or clear. Tell the truth within our time. Let peace reside for all divine. Let peace and love reside for all and the divine. Right little song. Oh,
Yeah.
it's funny.
Yeah.
It's really weird performing a live song without, I know it's lovely when you really appreciate it and it gets you jolly. But, it's funny just kind of making it up into the ether. It's just, I don't know, I'm always complaining about how weird things are to make them to do what I just did. It's a weird thing.
I think you need to, take all your music and make it available to people, all the Meetis songs that you did.
Yeah.
And I mentioned this to you before, and I know people love it. And not to mention, you bring forth the information that Meetis is leaving us with, the stories and the insights. Like last week, it was about Homer. Homer, not the writer of the Iliad and the Odyssey. He got his information from someone that kind of exposed what some of the Perseus and Theseus and some of what they were doing, Jason and the Argonauts, and that wasn't supposed to be for public information, I guess. So it kind of put them in danger's way, and they had problems. And so he's teaching us little things, and he's telling us also that he's here to help us if we want to invent things that are better for the planet. So those of you that like to tinker and work on stuff, just ask him. And he's saying go in the caves, go in the mountains, go in the different places. So he's trying to teach. And the steampunk stuff. I don't know if you remember, JP. I saw him come out of Montauk, and he was dressed in a steampunk outfit and kind of tattered clothing and pants that were kind of ripped on the bottoms of his knees. So, do you remember that?
Yeah,
remember that.
there was that. That was what. Yeah, the steampunk theme just kind of goes around and comes around and zooms out. I know a woman who sells steampunk lingerie.
Oh, yeah, I love
Yeah.
it. I mean, the styles are fantastic. It's, I would definitely even dress the way they dress and have that hat that I wear on occasions, when like a Halloween or something like that allows. But, the technology of steampunk, some of the machinery that they created at that time was ingenious. It was brilliant.
You can do a lot.
And,
Yeah, I think that what he was saying is you can do a lot using steam power rather than electric power. Because a piece of wood. I mean, let's just talk about this a second. A piece of wood heating water is like a lever. It's like it's using the power of the water as well as the power of the burning wood, and it's a force multiplier. It squares it. You could do that. Obviously, gasoline, is much more concentrated form of what's going on. There's, hydrogen gas, which is really where it all starts. If you can just directly, I've been experimenting with fires. I sometimes talk a bit about stoves, and I've got a fire outside that burns the wood burning that burns the oak staves from the old whiskey barrels, and it can burn an amazing fire. I mean, if you ever come here, I'd probably try and film it or something like that, because it's quite an unusual, and it's got a little like a beehive size kind of mound of bricks. And as the fire burns inside the bricks themselves get hot and radiate heat. So it's a really radiant fire that doesn't have so much smoke because the smoke is coming out above you.
Wow,
Yeah.
and that's amazing. And these are the type of things that he wants to bring in, and I think we're going to have that opportunity to introduce new technology. They're talking about the anti-gravity stuff a lot too. So that's coming in. And I know there's a lot of conversations that I have with them, but these are the ones that they want the public to see. So that means this is the time for it. It's kind of exciting to me because I never know what they want to talk about and where it's going to go. I might have a question, but then, they'll move the conversation into another direction of what they feel is more pertinent and what they think, people need to hear at this time. So this is it. This is what you get. And so it's a positive news, from my perspective, and something really good to look forward to.
Fabulous. Rocking it with the rocket stove, yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have a few, I'm going to probably leave everyone with some music. And but before I do that, I want to say, happy holidays to everyone. And I wish I could be here on Monday, but I will in spirit. The show will be replayed on Monday, and we'll be live again the following Monday. So thank you. Actually,
New Year's
that would
Day.
be New Year's. It's starting off the New Year's with whatever they have to share. So.
I'm sure they've got some fantastic messages for us all.
Yeah, and remember, bring your questions and answers. Maybe we can take a look at what people are asking and answer some questions, because there's always some interesting information, but people, want to learn more about it, so we can go from there.
It would be really cool. What would be the coolest thing ever, right, is if people personally, in their own meditations, request information from these beings and see if they come out in the reply.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool? Yeah, you don't even need to write into the studio.
Yeah, absolutely. Just share it.
Yeah.
Share it with us. And that's, that I can hear them. That doesn't mean that I'm the only one that's supposed to talk. That they're welcome, to have a discussion and to assist. And I've told people that before. Rhodan's open. I know Meetis is. Andronicus is all over the place. So good luck to that. But never know.
Never know when he'll return.
Never know when. And so, the Brian that they were talking about was Brian Sundholm. So that Meetis was talking about.
Oh,
and
Brian.
him making his music on the computer, I think.
Yes.
He's kind of fascinated by it. In case anyone was curious who that Brian was, I think I have permission from Brian to say that. And also, my heart's going out to that Brian Wilson, who was in the Beach Boys. I have a Beach Boys song in there as a little tribute to those that are struggling through this time of year, emotionally and depression and so forth. So, and I know he went through a lot of that. And hopefully you take some of the insight that I provided for you over the holidays. So if you're having a hard time, just think about it. And, don't go to the bottle or any other type of, drug or anything else, deal with it and, free yourself. But, so we have some music. And happy holidays to everyone. I love you all. Love, love, love to everyone. And I will see you next year.
Thank you very much, Jess.
Next week. Thank you, JP, for doing the pre-record. And many blessings.
That's it. So happy Christmas, everybody. And, I'll be doing, I think I've already put out the litany that I'd be doing. And we'll be doing a litany show. Well, we'd have done it yesterday. Oh, let's not talk about this. This is very confusing already. All right, time travelers. Good night, John Lennon.
Yep.
So this is Christmas. And what have you done? Those Christmas lights keep shining.